All right, we're live for this new session. Welcome to all of you joining us for this new discussion on supply chain planning. For some of you who are just joining, we're going to give ourselves just 1 or 2 more minutes until everybody is joining. So don't worry, we haven't started officially, and we're just going to wait for 1 more minute. Thank you. Just stay on the line for now, and we'll get started shortly.
Sure.
All right. Okay, welcome to all of you to this new roundtable discussion focusing on supply chain planning. My name is Max Henry. I'm running the Global Supply Chain Council, and I'm always very happy to have all of you joining us for those weekly forums and roundtables on many different topics in supply chain. Of course, supply chain planning has been on top of the mind of many supply chain and logistic and procurement leaders in the past few years, and we enjoy having the discussion on a regular basis. Just to again clarify on how we're going to run this discussion, this is going to be really interactive. You are here attending, watching us, but you can ask questions at any time using the question mark button located at the bottom of the screen. Have a look. You have a small button showing the Q&A. You can click on it. This will open a live Q&A tab, and this way you can ask questions at any time to the audience, to the panelists that we have today. So feel free to ask again questions whenever you like it. We will take those questions, we will prioritize those questions, and hopefully we'll have some interesting ones coming from all of you. This talk is going to be just 55 minutes. So if you're worried about your next call or your next meeting at the end of the hour, no worries. We'll make sure to wrap up this discussion a few minutes before the end of the hour. So you're ready for your next call or meeting. So without further ado, I'd like to maybe first to get each of our panelists to introduce themselves. Maybe starting with Snigdha, who's the only woman. We don't have a lot of women in our discussions. I'm always very happy to have one. So go ahead, Snigdha. Welcome, and great to have you again here. You're muted, Snigdha. Just make sure
Thank you,
to unmute
Max.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for Thank you for the opportunity and welcome everybody. I'm Snigdha, a senior operations and procurement professional, having worked for 17 years across Africa, Middle East, India, Philippines, and Singapore, driving strategic transformations across supply chain risk, inventory management, material management, and procurement ops. And I have also led several rollouts, tech rollouts in the space in which allow me to roll out S4 HANA, etc. And lovely to meet all of you. Looking forward to your engaging discussion.
Yeah, great to have you again, Snigdha, for this new discussion. We have also Arjun joining us. Welcome, Arjun. Go ahead, make sure to unmute you.
Thanks a lot, Max. Hello, everyone. This is Arjun, been associated with sporting industry for the last 14 years, working for Decathlon. I'm based out of Singapore. This is the fifth country I'm working for Decathlon, starting from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and just moved to Singapore last month in the capacity of commercial leader, so country sales manager for Wheel Sports Department. Looking forward for the wonderful discussion, and let's keep it interesting.
Yeah, thank you very much. We also have Rohit joining us. Welcome, Rohit. Go ahead, yeah.
Hey, hi, thanks, Max, for this introduction. Hello, everyone, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, basis where are you being located. My name is Rohit, and I carries over 17 plus year of experience, and that too into supply chain planning. I work across different industries like FMCG, agrochemical, and presently I am working with a new industry, which is I am associated with an Valvoline, and I'm heading the entire supply chain planning for the India business. And my core experience lies into an advanced planning system and basically change management, which is I think more people driven along with the system driven. Thank you, and looking forward for a very insightful session with all you guys. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for being with us today, Rohit. And we have also Syed joining us. Welcome, Syed. Make sure to unmute here.
Hi, thank you, Max, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone based on invitations. Thank you very much for this forum. And I would like to introduce myself. My name is Syed Fahad Sarwar, and I am in Saudi Arabia, based in Saudi Arabia for the last 13 years. And I have experience with multi-level organizations in terms of sales and distribution planning. And I am currently the head of planning for Al Khurayf Group, who is also the sales sole distributor for Castrol KSA. Uh, and they are also having a blending plant here in Saudi Arabia in Yambo for Castrol. I can add. I'm aiming to add value to this discussion, and I'm looking forward to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Syed. Okay, great. I see some people still joining us. Just as a quick reminder, this is again all about supply chain planning today. This is going to be an interactive discussion, so feel free to ask question by clicking the question mark button located at the bottom of the screen. We will take your questions as they come. We will stop our own flow of topics or questions that we prepared already for this session. So we have more time to take all your questions and make sure that we take all of them before the end of this discussion. This session again will be just 55 minutes, so we're looking to wrap up a few minutes before the end of the hour. So no worries if you have another call or meeting coming up after this meeting. So let's start maybe broadly, and I want to maybe start with, with the basics and get your sense on this topic. When you want to get your idea of what does supply chain planning mean to you today? Has the definition itself evolved in the past few years? What you guys think? Maybe we'll get started with Arjun. Yeah.
Thanks, Max. So actually, it's a very interesting question because let me just revisit everyone, take everyone 3-4 years back. At the supply chain planning pre-COVID was completely different, especially in the sporting industry. A lot of trends, as most of us has experienced, home gym, cycling, being focused on fitness, health conscious, they all picked up drastically during the COVID period. And the supply chain planning was actually quite easy, to be honest, in our industry pre-COVID, because we could predict the trends. But COVID not just disrupted every other industry, but completely disrupted the sporting industry because the trends became highly volatile, highly unpredictable, and short-lived. So people suddenly picked up bicycle cycling for a period of 6 months, got tired, then picked up home gyms, then did it for 6 months, got tired. So it changed the definition of supply chain and insights on the supply chain, which I would say drives the sports industry market post-COVID. And it is still, even after people say COVID is long gone, but that insights, the trends of the market has still continued. So for us, trust me, the definition has completely taken a 360-degree change.
This is interesting. Yeah, Rohit, what's your take on this? Yeah.
I think supply chain planning in today's context is more forward looking. It has become more dynamic and it is now connected. And it's not about working in a silos. It's about here. It is like a continuous orchestration across the ecosystem. So in the ecosystem, how all the functions not only limited to the core internal supply chain of an organization, but it is being extended to the suppliers, extended to the customer. And if I have to say about what has changed is, there are top of 2 3 things which notably has changed, as Arjun was talking about post pandemic. The planning has gone from a sequential to a more concurrent. Like in a very basic nature, if you talk about supply planning, it talks only about balancing demand and supply. But when it talks about concurrent system, all the systems, it's your raw material planning, it's your production planning, these are being working in tandem with each other. Any changes, any event happened at any point of time are being reflected as a dynamic change to the entire system. That is the first thing, I think, the big change which has happened from a planning perspective. And second is, it has gone from a prediction to adaptation. after COVID, organization has realized that demand forecasting is one thing, but for these kind of disruption that is happening, I think uh, it's require a lot of agility and resilience. So you need to sense the demand, and you need to quickly find a solution how to get onto this demand sensing and take actions toward it. And third one is, again, it is not related to internal, it is expanded to the ecosystem, to the entire value chain. Then you should be understanding what is my capacity constraint of my vendor. You should be, the things are being now able to understand at a tier 3 customer how the demand patterns are shaping, and what could be done for that. And with the coming of lots of government mandation and towards sustainability, I think integration of ESG and sustainability goals are now being integrated into supply chain decision making, and now they are becoming a part of supply chain planning. Because the if you talk about my industries where you have to use the you have to reuse the oil, you have to reuse the packing material. So all those pieces now coming into as a part of planning, because 10% of your containers which is plastic has to be reused, your base oil group 1 and group 2 kind of thing which has to be reused. Then it has now become a core part of the supply chain planning. I think these are the broadly changes which has happened over the past 2 3 years.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much, Roy. Syed, what does supply chain planning mean to you today?
Thank you, Max. I would second what Arjun and Rohit have added, and plus, in my opinion, we have lost the stability that we had before COVID. So pre-COVID, there was a stable environment, and we were, it was easy to anticipate and project and, do demand planning and balancing the demand and supply. But yes, now the challenges are totally different. We need to be more agile and resilient in this market, considering the changes that are happening around the clock. Whether you call them geopolitical situations that are happening, especially since I'm in the GCC region. So there is a bigger pain point that for us is the shipments which are coming from abroad, landing in Saudi or landing in the UAE or in the GCC as a whole. So the planning has become totally a different ball game now. You have to be the information. You have to be very information sensitive. We need to have real time information, and we need to understand what are the even for the government regulations. Drastically, they are changing. As you know, I'm sitting in Saudi Arabia, so Saudi Arabia has a totally different dynamic right now, considering their vision 2030. They are moving their focus from their the long the oil, basically the asset that has been for a very long age. Now they are moving towards other avenues for for getting their economy more stable and running. So I believe that the overall supply chain perspective has changed post pandemic, and how we tackle these challenges are with the amount of information that we have on hand, real time information, and I think the backward and forward integration will play a bigger role here, because we might have to move into localization instead of dependency on the imported grades, imported goods, or raw materials or additives as a whole. Cut down the lead times, definitely. It's a big challenge right now. So product availability as a whole, because overall the final objective is to deliver a service or a product to the customers. So if that is delayed, the whole supply chain function goes for a loss. So, in my opinion, we need to look into different avenues, alternates for sourcing, alternates for sourcing locally and abroad. So, in my opinion, it's like we're going from global. There was a concept that the world is going global, 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 and now we are from global. We are moving to local. So,
Mm,
yeah. So that's my take on supply chain planning in the modern era.
that's interesting. Thank you, Syed. Yeah, Snigdha, what do you think?
So, thank you, everyone. And those were wonderful points. So just to summarize, I think where I would come from is like now pre-pandemic and now the difference is key. Where now we are looking into the integrated business planning view, whereas in past pre-COVID it was more SNOP version of daily monthly chasing of targets, the numbers, sales volume. But now it's like how it's impacting my financials a bit more on that. And then now also we are in such a dynamic world, and real time visibility is there thanks to the business network view that we have. So we can have where is my supplier constraint, where is the forecast coming from, where is the demand coming from, and how do I reallocate my shipments, or take actions like Syed, Rohit, and Arjun said. So basically, it comes down to that we are able to balance voice of the customer, voice of the business in terms of financials and operation, plus voice of the network, which is my supplier and the logistics players, so that I can meet all the goals in all the three dimensions. So true nature of IBP.
Okay, thank you very much, Nida. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic and question. We've seen unprecedented levels of uncertainty in recent years. A lot of things going on, all aspects in the supply chain. In your view, what separate companies that plan well from those that are constantly reacting? This is a question for all of you. Yeah, Arjun?
Yeah, I think the first, before we jump onto the companies reacting or planning, we first have to identify the companies which are quite well versed in identifying the challenge. When we talk about unprecedented challenges that is haunting us, not just a single country, but globally, it needs to be driven down and clearly identified what is the uncertainty we are talking about. Are we talking about the uncertainty of tariffs? Are you talking about the uncertainty of the integration of machine learning in business models? Are we talking about the uncertainty and the fluctuations in the trends of the demand coming from consumers, no matter the industry? And I think the companies which are very well versed in identifying these uncertainties are able to react better, are able to adapt better, are able to plan better. So I would say that to elaborate the question a little bit more and stretch it across the horizon a bit more is the first is the ability to identify the blockages that may or may not hit us. Sometimes, talking from Decathlon's perspective, the tariff wars with US do not really dominate the decision making for Decathlon because we are a Europe centric market based companies. So we are not really US based or US centric. So this maybe for some other industry is a decision maker, but for sporting goods giant like Decathlon, it's not a decision maker. But for Nike, the ball game is completely different. So I would say the first one is the ability to identify the uncertainty at what stage, and definitely I think some one of you said the agility plays a very vital role, and I think it's also important. Do we want to be the cheetah in the game or the elephant, and how fast can we move? Because sometimes the giants are the traditional dinosaurs and elephants, but they do react quite extensively and fast, be it be what's going on in the last 9 months across the horizon of different countries. So for me, it's not just a simple answer of am I able to plan better. It just not in terms of my sourcing or in terms of my procurements, in terms of my demand supply balance equations, but it's also how much of the room I am leaving in my planning for the adaptability to kick in as soon as possible. Because at the end of the day, the demand is driven by consumers, and we always used to say that globally the markets are connected, definitely. But I think in the last half a decade, it's not that the connectivity has increased, but it is the reaction to one demography or geography, which used to take sometimes weeks, months to have an impact on the other side of the world, now sees an impact in few days. Most of you would have seen the typical case, and I'm sure Max, being based in China, the typical case of Labubu. The way how it flooded the markets across the countries, across the regions, is just unprecedented. Nobody could ever plan it well. So I would say it's also the capacity of individuals, verticals, and companies. How much of room are you living to leave your adaptation? And no matter, no one will beat how well planned you are. No kind of reactivity, no kind of agility can beat how good a planning person or an individual can be. That's my take on it.
Thank you, Arjun. Yeah, very
I think,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, Rohit. Yeah.
adding to Arjun what he was saying, I think understanding the challenges is one part of it, and how the companies which are behaving differently, in present VUCA word is, I think the most important part. They are planning for the variability, not just the base case. So gone were the days when we talking about only one base forecast or a deterministic kind of model. Now these companies who are continuously working on a probabilistic forecast, they are accommodating ranges and scenarios. And it's not like that this to be happen on a quarterly basis, on a 6 monthly basis. Now this is the kind of with the tech enablement we have those system, we can run those things constantly running onto it, and to understand what are my bottlenecks on at what point the entire my value chain is under stress. So kind of stress test is being continuously tested to give an understanding where are my pain points is. That is one part which companies are now regularly investing into it, doing it. Secondly, these companies who are ahead the curve is basically they are instrumental for early warnings, not just reporting. So one part is, we all know as in a descriptive analytics, we have the dashboard showing what actually had happened. But do we have the system of flagging the leading indicators? What is happening from my supplier to supplier? If there is any kind of message that is happening, or what is happening to my tier three, in my downstream customer, what are how the demands are being shaping into it? Can I get those pattern out into it? So they have those kind of understanding of their entire value chain. And most importantly, I think now the organization are really investing in their planning capabilities. They are treating their planning capabilities as their infrastructure. So there is entire program that is being running into it, which to define the entire infrastructure in terms of cleaning data architecture. The systems are now integrated for them. They integrate the system and standardize the process. So at any point of time when there is a system, each planner will not need to run with their own excels and with their own capability, but it is now integrated. They take a pivot kind of thing, and they see in a holistic way what is happening and where to and when to act on it. And most importantly, what COVID has teaches everyone is, there is no win lose game. There will always be a win-win game, and this calls for a having a relationship, treating relationship as a planning asset. So we should have, these companies are having very strong relationship with their suppliers. They are investing in the collaborative relationship. So when these kinds of disruptions came into it, they can sit together, they can openly talk about their constraint, and they can devise a method which is win-win for both of the supplier and the uh, so the concept of supplier has gone, it is more like a partner. Now everyone who is working as a partner, and everything, and they are looking for a creation of value. So I think these are 3 4 points, I think, which currently these organization who is ahead of the curve are taking into consideration when designing their planning system.
Okay. Yeah. Syed, Snigdha, feel free to react on this as well. Yeah.
I think Rohit has summed up very well. So it's basically driven into three factors: data, process, and technology. So now what you have said is brilliant. Like data is here where the companies that are reacting and chasing constantly are the ones who are very internally data driven. And whereas the companies that are planning bit better and having a strategic horizon for these uncertainties, they're looking at leading indicators, external like port congestion and so on, so forth, like tariffs, etc., and alongside with their internal data to have a better balance view on supply chain planning. And in fact, the frequency is a bit better in terms of these uncertainties, and to plan and have scenario one, scenario two, scenario three, stress outcomes and plans, etc. So I mean, data process technology is very well managed in these companies that are foresighted. The ones that are reactive are a little bit siloed in these three areas. And yeah, so these two separates the two, in my view.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Syed, what's your take on that? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Echoing with all the other panelists, um, in my view, the uncertainty in the last 5 years, let's say, we just take the last 5 years as a historical uh, measure. What has happened in the last 5 years is, first of all, the recognition of supply chain importance, that has come into play. Because if you go back like 5, 10 years ago, a decade ago, there were companies who were treating supply chain departments and functions as not that significant or not that vital, and they were putting them under finance, under sales, under procurement. So first of all, what the uncertainty and has brought for us is that the in a positive sense, that people or the industries and the leaders of the world, they are recognizing the importance of the supply chain. Now, if we look at the concepts of supply chain before, like for example, just-in-time inventory, I don't think just-in-time inventory is effective anymore. We cannot go for just-in-time considering the uncertainties. So that concept is fading out basically. Now we have to look forward to more of a business continuity plans. We used to do this, considering I'm in the sales and distribution industry. We used to do this business continuity plan 5 years ago when there was pandemic, and after that, sometime we stopped post pandemic. But then again, last year I realized that the uncertainty and the instability is still there in the market, and it will last for long, and we are not sure when it's going to become more stable or more certain to predict. So considering this, I started working on business continuity plans for the organization that I'm working in. So how can we have supplies available, product available for our consumers? And yes, there was a concept that another concept that uh, uh, we uh, we basically the supply chain were not considered to be a very, it's a support function which has a very high cost. So that cost or the supply chain uh, was they everybody was trying to look at that cost, especially in the sales and distribution company where sales is the driver or sales is the engine of the company. So now that focus has changed. Now we are making realize the leaders and the company CEOs and GMs that no, there is a vital importance in the supply chain, especially in these uncertain times. We need to focus and invest more. The cost might go up, but it's rather than losing this opportunity to some competition. So whoever has the product right now will become the king of the market, for example.
Yeah.
So product availability is definitely the winning point here for us. So that's my
Okay.
take on the uncertainty. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I'm not sure. Yeah, my microphone is working now. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Syed. I see some questions already, and some of them relate to AI. I know that we're going to be covering AI a little bit later in that discussion. But before we start talking about those more technology things, could you maybe share with us what is your planning process right now? Is it centralized, regional, hybrid? How do you actually, how is your supply chain organized right now in your organization? Yeah, maybe I'll start with you, Arjun. Yeah.
So actually, it's a bit hybrid, Max. In terms of our supply chain and procurement operations, we tackle it at a regional level, but some of the regions are much more bigger compared to others. So primarily, we break it down for say Europe into Eastern Europe and rest of the Europe. Then Asia Pacific is split into three regions of China as one, Indian subcontinent as one, and Southeast Asia and Ocean, which is Australia and New Zealand, as one. And of course, then we cater to Americas, which is North and South, and of course Africa. So it is region, but of course, when you talk about China and India, because of the size of the markets and the needs, they don't come any as a region, but as an individual verticals.
Okay, that's interesting. And Rohit, how do you organize it?
So for us, the planning process, I think it's working. I would say in a hybrid mode. While we have our global capabilities sitting out there who actually act as a governance of the entire process, they dwell upon what could be the process of say demand forecasting, what are should be your inventory strategies, and which kind of tools you will be using. So those kind of decisions lies with the global team, and from an operational perspective, how you want to drive it, because every region is having all nuisances, all subtleties attached to it. Might be, a governing process is being well structured and defined based on, a stable process. And but when it comes to the ground for a regional, the emerging market like India, Asia Pacific, where we have Middle East and all that, which are emerging as compared to Europe and US. So I think those power and those decisions are being laid with the regional folk teams to take their decision and alter those processes, which is, helping, to the customer to have more, I would say, service level oriented, rather than fully following the entire scope of global strategies.
Okay. Syed, how do you organize it within your own organization? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Actually, since I have been in the sales and distribution industry for about 13 years, and I have worked with multiple brands like Colgate Palmolive, like Kimberly Clark. Currently, I'm working with Castrol, which is owned by British Petroleum. So, definitely the guidelines for such are coming from those partners or vendors as well. And so you can consider it as a hybrid model, definitely. Yes, our work team, the planning team is working here as well with some of the, you can say, the local group that we are working who are facilitating the brands. They have their own guidelines and they have their own, let's say, for stock coverage, inventory planning, inventory holding, you know, they have their own parameters and KPIs, as well as we are bound to have the input from our partners as well, uh, because at the end of the day, basically we represent them. So basically, it's about balancing the expectations of the partners as well. So definitely, we use a hybrid model, and we work very closely with their planning teams as well. And sometimes we have to consolidate and look at the one picture instead of having two pictures, like the primary and secondary volumes that we get the primary that we get from the vendors and the secondary that we sell in the market. So we have to have both perspectives.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So let me start to take a few questions now before it's too late. And maybe I'll start with that question from Shandan, who's asking or who's saying traditional supply planning typically integrates sourcing, production capacity, market demand, and future budgeting. Can AI driven orchestration enhance the value of this process? Anybody would like to respond to this?
Okay, I just want to respond to this question. I think the power of AI, while it's being buzzword for all of us, but we need to understand before getting into why AI and why AI can be as an value added uh, value given for the supply chain planning or the entire supply chain is, we need to understand is take a step back and understand that AI is
Yeah, I'm not sure we lost Rohit, or is it just on my side?
No, I can't hear him as well. I think we lost
Okay.
him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's going to come back. Rohit, no worries.
Yeah.
We'll wait for you. He's going to come back. Syed or
Yeah.
Arjun or Snigdha? Yeah. Go ahead,
Well,
Syed.
in the meantime, since Rohit, once he comes back, for the AI, yeah, my perspective is that the AI involvement is we need to just
hello.
break it down to the core. So AI importance is basically it helps us in making a decision, right? It helps us in making a decision more efficiently and fast, rapid decisions. So yes, AI involvement will always be there, but the ground realities, someone has to definitely look into the ground realities on what's happening. So yes, integrated business plans, upgraded ERPs, inclusion of the machine learning and the AI, definitely it will play a strong role in sharing the information instantly. So just imagine your competition, if they are not really using these technologies, or they are not well versed, or they don't know how to use them, and they're still old school. So definitely the edge will be with the organization that has this technology, who are relying on the technology more, and their people are more closely connected with these kind of technologies and the machine learning, and they are aware of these processes and how to use them. So utilization could be better and decision making could be better, and it could be an edge definitely for the organizations who are adopting to these technologies.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Rohit, you're back. We lost you for a few seconds. You can go
Sorry,
ahead
my
now. Yeah,
apologies. Yeah, sorry,
no
my
problem.
apologies. I have a lost connection. So what I'm trying to, make everyone understand is that before we talk about AI, we know why there is a need of an AI and why it is becoming a buzzword. So already we have discussed about what has been changed in terms of the supply chain and supply chain planning. Supply chain planning or supply chain was always being I would say, a complicated system, but with these kind of disruptions, it has become more complex. Now there is a difference between complicated and complex. When we talk about systems or the surroundings which are complex, is basically we don't know what are the cause and effect. If something has happened, what kind of effect it will be having, it's very difficult to find it out, or probably you need more kind of understanding of this your value chain. And I think this is where if we have to talk about AI, where we have those kind of capability, AI running into the system which can integrate with your sourcing, and they can able to understand, because most of the sourcing data, if you think, is an unstructured data. It resides basically into the mails and everything. They keep on sending it, what are the dispatches from their side, they keep on sending what are the you know total inventory they are helping. So AI is basically helping in reading those unstructured data, understanding the cause and effect this will have if it is being fully integrated with all the sub function of the supply chain, be it production, raw material, be it's your demand forecasting and everything. I think this is where the AI is creating a value for the supply chain and supply chain planning, and it's really working as a agent of orchestration, which really bringing value, to immense value for all the company and to the function itself in a supply chain.
Yes, Nida, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I wanted to add to what Rohit is also saying and Syed mentioned. So definitely AI will add value, but it'll add value in terms of mathematically optimal solution, where humans will still play a great role, and that's where AI may not be able to add value. Is the judgment, the relationship and intelligence. Say your supplier is going for a labor strike, there's an impending labor strike, or there is supposedly a capacity buffer you need to add in because there is some promotion going on, or there's probably some other assumption that you may want to refine in your mathematical model. So the the planner, will start playing the decision architect, and the AI will become your mathematical modeler, and that's will go hand in hand, and then you will apply safety stocks, or say come up with those risk mitigation strategies for those assumptions in case they were to materialize.
Okay. Arjun, yeah. What's your take on AI? Yeah.
Yeah, I would completely agree with my fellow panelists. All the three wonderfully added, and I would just summarize with one statement: for all those parents who are outside, AI is like the training wheels for your kids to learn the cycling. But at the end of the day, as a parent, you decide where the kid is going to cycle and when you are going to take off those training wheels.
Interesting. Yeah. Good. Very good analogy for people to understand this. Okay, great. Let's move on. We have more questions coming in, so I want to take them now. Next question. Someone is asking, how do you plan when suppliers themselves don't give reliable lead times or capacity information? That's a good question. Anybody would like to react on this?
Let me take a step at it. So, in such scenario, there are two ways, right? Either you take the help of three things that you can do. Either you rely on past patterns and come up with some supplier performance matrix so as to see whether how reliable they are, and apply your own capacity buffers or safety stock, etc. to, or probably an alternate supplier for such unreliable lead times. So, okay, so that's one. Data. Then second is also your really how do you plan when, so the second is people angle, which is you work with the supplier to improve their performance, because if they are not giving the reliable lead times, there has to be something that they are not able to, they are shying away in sharing. that's second. And the third is also leverage the technology. There are lots of wonderful tools and the ERP tools, without naming them, you can have these integrated business networks. Through those, through you can see the supplier can see your demand, you can feed that demand, and that demand can be, uh, acknowledged by your supplier, and you see whether it's realistic for them based on past patterns or not. And if not, then you will see some errors, and then you can re-mitigate that shipment to another supplier. So data process technology, again, I'll go back to that.
Okay, excellent. Arjun, Rohit, Syed, what's your view on this? Yeah, go ahead, Rohit.
I think, yeah, I think what Snigdha was saying is very right in terms of an operational, if you have to take action on these operational challenges. I think what when we talk about there is supplier not sharing the plan and their lead times are not, reliable, or they have a capacity issue, we are talking about variability. Basically, in a very common sense, it is a variability what we observe, observing from our supplier. I think from a very basic concept of inventory management and safety stock, I think from an operational standpoint of view, you can take care of those if that is being cost effective solution for the organization. And from a long term, from a tactical or a strategical point of view, I think this the only thing is you need to consider them as a partner. You have to develop a relationship with them and investment in the collaborative relationship with them, and to make the entire offer as a win-win. It has to be win-win for the suppliers, treating them as a partner, so that they have a kind of trust built on the system. And then probably it should be like that they see you now, as a someone who is investing in, in the supplier, and basically working to the upliftment for them. I think from a strategic and tactical, this is an operational things can be handled through the safety stock solution only.
Yeah. Arjun, as Decathlon, how do you deal with that in your company? Yeah.
So actually, I will just bring in a very flip side perspective on it. Suppliers usually, it's also important to understand that if they are being unreliable in terms of lead times and capacity, what is driving that reason? Has it been the forecast accuracy has not been done by the brand accurately? And historically, we are so bad in terms of giving realistic numbers, or the number of adaptations or last minute movements, SNOPs are not being respected. So I think the it's not a blame game at all, because it's a symbiotic relation. Both have to benefit from each other. Supplier needs the brand and the brand needs the supplier. It's more important is to drill down, because each of the symbiotic relation is also derived and managed through different key dynamics, key matrices. So as Rohit pointed out, as Sindha pointed out, it's very important to classify, because this is one as a variable, but it's also to understand why these variables are being volatile so much. Because sometimes the race doesn't start on the other side of the table. So I would say that at Decathlon, we treat our suppliers primarily in three categories in terms of partner suppliers, key challengers, and sometimes the lower potential key challengers, and have different key matrices to manage them in terms of the accuracy, not only in terms of lead time and capacity, but also in terms of quality, deliverables, the elasticity, and how much kind of flexibility is being provided on SNOPs, things like this. So this really does help in terms of managing accurate and reliable information coming out of supplier.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Syed, do you want to add something on this?
Yes. I think first of all, I'll echo with the all the rest of the panelists. I think they have made really great points in this question, in responding to this question. Uh, my take on this, I'll just try to add on to what they have said, is that the product itself, sometimes it's about the product itself, that what kind of product you are procuring or sourcing from the vendors. Sometimes the product is niche, and I think majority, what I because I have dealt with around 15 plus vendors in my 13 years of career, what I have felt is that sometimes a niche product that is not common, it's a specialist product, most of the time you will be facing issues with sourcing such kind of products, especially when you don't have a wide variety of vendors for that particular product. So first of all, you have to have a portfolio for vendors. So Yes, and you need to keep assessing them based on their product delivery, product quality, etc. But then again, if the product itself is niche, then I would rather go for the option that Rohit suggested, which is, you know, probably have more of your safety stocks, increase your safety stocks to counter this issue, and do a rigorous planning for 6 to 9 months and make it a robust plan. And as once you have more confidence in your supplies, so let's say you are keeping a supply of 5 months or 6 months across the board for such products. I know it can occupy a lot of space in your warehouse, or it can be a burden on the working capital itself. However, still sometimes such niche products, you are making good margins on them as well, because these are not available in the market. So the best case scenario would be not to lose your opportunity to sell to your competition, and better to have some cost impact rather than, losing it all. So that's my take on,
Okay, excellent. Yeah, all good points. All right, let's move on. We got 10 more minutes before we wrap up, and I've got a few more questions I'd like to take. So Yanisa is asking, how do you convince top management to invest in better planning tools when they only see the cost, not the value? Interesting. Um, what do you think?
Max, I think this question is basically, I'll just what I answered just a few moments ago about the value. So, what is the value we need to understand exactly? That's why we need to see, okay, how do we weigh them? What is the measure? So if somehow you understand and you realize that the value of having the product itself is your winning point, okay, to have the product in the market, to be the leader, to have the product in the market and supply it, I think sometimes that itself becomes the value, because some products can have low costs, some products can have high costs.
Yeah,
Low cost product is mostly available. If the product is a low cost, it's a popular or common product, it will be available with all of the other competition as well. So you have multiple options in the market for the customer from the consumer point of view. But if you
if
are a niche provider for a product, then definitely it's your own USP, basically your unique selling proposition for that
yeah,
product itself. Yeah.
if I can extend that question, maybe, so do you get good ROI on supply chain planning
Hmm.
tool? Because there are a lot of vendors out there, there are a lot of solutions. So yeah, Rohit, yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you so much, Yanisa, for asking this question. I think this remain, one of the top question is being discussed across the boards, and what value a planning tool can bring into it, and it's really tough, in present moment for getting into ROI and all that. But how we tackled and how I have seen, this can be presented to the board members, to the leadership team, is that I think if you have a fair idea of what kind of service level the organization is into it, and what kind of inventories organization is holding into it, I think if you know if that can be capitalized into it, if we can improve the service level, which in any case convert it into a lost sale, and you can convert it into a revenue. And when it comes to the working capital, if any reduction in a working capital from a 3 or 4 days at a monthly level, which you can translate into a value, and I think these two parameters we are able to translate into revenue by going and implementing any kind of planning tool. This would be my increase in service level, and this will be my reduction in inventory. And this is the amount of the saving which is coming to the organization at a very broad level to crack down on this. And most importantly, if you can also bring in with an aspect of forecast accuracy, and if by chance your forecast capability in terms of how many of your products are forecastable, a study of forecastability will able to tell you what kind of variances you are carrying into it. And so that could be another angle to the management to make them aware. See, your product portfolio is too large, it's not forecastable and kind of thing, but still I'm able to manage with this kind of service level to the customer and reducing your inventory. So this become a very strong case in terms of finding out ROI. And apart from that, from a strategic level, I think the capability with these kind of planning tools brings into it in terms of doing those kind of scenario analysis on the go, and keeping the management aware about in integrated business planning what is happening, where probably they are not able to it would take about 3 to 4 or 5 days to do these kind of scenario planning when all the places are there. So that will give, I would not say a direct conversion of revenue, but that will be a good value to the management, to the leadership team, in terms of talking about what are the uncertainties that can be faced and what are the stress point in the supply chain. And probably you can correlate it with whenever with these scenarios you find out any pain point, and your procurement teams need to hedge something in
Yeah.
terms of something. So these kind of conversation, these kind of converting into revenues from a service level, loss of sale, as well as reducing the inventory, I think a mixed bag of this probably could be a very good case when you want to present it to the management.
Okay. Yes, Nida. Yeah, you wanted to react on
So,
this. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to add to Rohit. I mean, he has made some wonderful points again. Like he has quantified the KPIs where you should really highlight and make a stronger business case. But also, I would like to add is like how you can structure it is in a way that you quantify the cost of poor planning, or not poor planning, but not able to meet that perfect planning, or like yeah. Basically cost of poor planning, then strategically highlight the ROI that comes with the better planning tools. And also third, I think it's also important to remain competitive and agile, and the talent also likes the newer tools, etc. So bringing the strategic position it as an investment for the necessity of the future state, I think that's also important. So and then you highlight as to what the total cost will be, because there will be a change management, there will be a little bit of a transformation required to manage that change. But if you quantify in terms of the benefits in these 3 4 areas, it will definitely help. And if they are solid numbers, then automatically the attentions will start, you'll get that attention. But if the numbers don't fly at that level, then I think then you will have a little bit of a challenge, because that the juice has to be worth the squeeze,
Yeah.
right?
Arjun. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit and Snigdha. It was very well articulated. Yanisa, I would just like to re-emphasize that when you are talking about top management, is it the senior management, or is it the C-level management who are driving the purpose and the reasoning of the company? The reason why is at Decathlon we have a wonderful way of tackling this, because we love investing in new tools and be hyper agile. We will usually segment this as one which is economic. So economic value. So value for us is like an ocean. So we first segmented as economic value because everyone wants to talk about money. And of course, economic value will subcategorize at the cost of investment, the ROI, the potential loss of opportunity cost, and things like that. And of course, the blockages on working capital. But at the same time, we also add human value, the creation of human value, which is in terms of job satisfaction for your teammates, the human iteration, the interest in the job. Because today in the competitive dynamics, it's not just your daily job, but the companies also compete to retain talents within their verticals. So there is also an added value of human value towards it. And to top off both of them is the strategic value, where, as Snigdha really beautifully articulated, how agile you are, how competitive you are in terms of your competitors. So we usually scale down not as just one single number in terms of value, but accumulation of economic, human, and strategic, which is mostly market associated value generation whenever we are talking about investing in planning tools.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your input. I was hesitating to take another question, but because looking at the time right now that we have, maybe I'll get you a very quick answer from each of you on this one. So let me see whether, yeah, this is a, yes, this one. How do you manage global planning when local teams always say my market is different? Any good way to balance that? If you had in one sentence, a reply to Aisha, what will it be? What will be your advice to her, yeah, to deal with this issue? And and we can wrap up this story. Yeah, Arjun, yeah.
Yeah, Max. Aisha, just to conquer, it's right. Every market is different. So I would say the first answer to it would be yes. Everyone, whoever says market is different is right. I would just say counter this. Whoever says this with the pure single word how. You need to quantify. Your person sitting on the other side on the other market has to quantify how they are different, what is making them singular, what is their USP which is different than the other region. So just remember the how, and trust me, yes, every market is different.
Okay. Anybody else would like to add on this, or we can close it? No, all good.
Yeah, I may want to add a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Aisha, definitely there's a truth to that, that every market is different and you'll have to acknowledge that truth. But where your global team will be making sense is supposedly there's a disruptor that your market has already anticipated, or global value chain has already gone through that a little bit and observed that there was a potential to take the references from the global cues or some of the best practices where that can be deployed in the current local market, and it will help. So you'll have to apply that sort of strategic um, with the local context and apply and see if it works. But to acknowledge, yes, local market is different, and that's a challenge that most of us do face.
Okay. All great. All right. I think we're going to wrap up because we are close to the end of an hour. I made a promise to release all of you when we get close to to that time. So I want to thank you again. Thanks, Rohit, Arjun, Snigdha, and Syed for being with us today. We had a lot more topics prepared, and we also had a number of questions we didn't have time to take. So we'll keep them for the next session because supply chain planning, as I said earlier, is something that we always talk about. So again, keep your question for next time, and then we'll make sure that we address them. If you missed part of the discussion, no worries. Everything has been recorded, and we will then share the replay, the actual recording of the discussion tomorrow around the same time, and you can access it directly on the platform of chain.net. Thank you very much again for being with us, taking the time for sharing your insights. And again, we look forward to see you at our next event. Thank you and see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye,
Thank
guys.
everyone.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.